Hello, and welcome to the music room where we talk about everything from DCI to orchestra. I'm your host, Dylan.
And I'm Josiah.
And today we have our first guest of the podcast. We're really excited for this one, for sure. We've been anticipating it. With us, we have a senior from Chino Hills. She plays on the bass line. She's played bass three and bass two. She has two gold medals from WGI in world class scholastic. And without a further ado, we have Vanessa Wu with us.
Hi, everybody.
All right, sweet. All right, so we'll go ahead and get started. Um, so first off, what made you do band, and how has music affected your life overall?
All right, so basically, I've been musically oriented since I was like a little kid. Like, I first started off playing piano when I was 4 years old. And then I think in junior high was when I first got introduced to band and drumline. And I just remember like my band going to one of the football games that Chino Hills was at and seeing their drumline warm up and everything. That was when I got in it and I made the decision like, all right, I want to do that. And since then, I guess it's been such a big part of my life. Like it's impacted me in a positive way for sure. In the fact that like I've met so many amazing people, I've made so many friends. I've been able to, I guess, put a positive impact on others and on our audience and the people that do watch our shows and watch our performances, and being able to be a motivating factor for them to be able to want to do better or want to or to have the motivation to want to be able to do what they want to do is honestly great. So yeah.
Probably the best answer to that question I've ever heard.
Oh yeah,
Thank
definitely.
you.
um, yeah, no, I definitely feel the same way. I remember our middle school would go to our high school's game kind of to introduce marching band and stuff, and I remember watching drumline warming up, and I was just like, I want to do that one day. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
I
Sure.
mean, for me, really, I never knew like marching band was even a thing whenever I was a kid. I was actually introduced to lots of like heavy metal bands. It sounds really weird, but it's like rock and metal and stuff. And then I don't even know. It was like I got into drums, and so I decided to do it. They said I was supposed to be on oboe, but that didn't work out. So I joined percussion, and then I'm here now.
yeah, it's pretty evident that Chino Hills is really a major name within the marching arts, considering all the awards they win every single year, not only for indoor but also marching band. Um, but I mean, how does it feel to have so many eyes on you? Thinking, wow, this is like the best high school in the world. Like, how does that affect how you perform and how you really carry yourself on the field?
Well, it's definitely pretty nerve-wracking, especially right before a lot. But I guess the most important thing to, I guess, with the battery and the drum line is that we're not really like set on, how people see us. We're more set on we want to be better than our best. And that's our, like, I guess, our main drive and why we're always cranking because of the fact that it's like we all, like every single person in our drumline has their favorite Chino Hill show. And the Chino Hill show that they think is probably the best out of all of the years. And our goal is to be better than our best. And so I guess in front of like so many people and especially in a lot, it's pretty nerve-wracking and there you can definitely feel a lot of pressure. But the good thing is that everybody who comes to the lot to watch us, they're always having like a positive vibe and they're always hyping us up. And it's really great because it gives us encouragement to want to, like do our best and be able to live up to their expectations as well. And in that moment, it's kind of just like we're enjoying the moment, we're playing music, we're doing choreography, we're performing. It's like all of the adrenaline and dopamine is just rushing through our bodies, and it's great.
Yeah. And I think that's a really great attitude because, I know a lot of people that, have seen world-class groups and, it's very easy to be, snobby and be like, yeah, we're the best. What do you think? But I think it's great that you take the energy of, being so looked up to in the community and taking, from your past and being like, okay, we need to, improve this or that or stuff like that. And I remember my freshman year. Um, I don't know if you remember their 2014 fall show, Puppet Master, but we actually ended up doing that show our my freshman year.
Oh, that's
And
so
I
cool.
remember, yeah, yeah, it was really awesome. But it would we kept watching y'all's rendition, I believe, at your local circuit championship, and we were like, okay, we need to you know, although, we won't be able to get to the quality of this school, we should still focus on our own stuff and make sure that we're still better and improving from last year.
Exactly. And I think the reason why it's also like not necessarily like, I feel like our battery doesn't really focus on the fact like, our reputation and how everybody sees us. In a way, it's like we're kind of in our own personal bubble where we're only focused on, being better for ourselves because we love music, because we love performing. And I've been in both situations where I was fortunate enough to be in a program that had amazing instructors and amazing people to drum with and perform with. And I've also been in a program where we were less fortunate, especially in my junior high, because my junior high, we didn't have a drum line. We had a band of 8 people, and I had to join another junior high's drum line in 8th grade to be able to get some sort of experience because I wanted to do Chino Hills. And I was fortunate enough that like they were welcoming, like, they were super welcoming, and at Chino Hills, like, they were willing to teach. They wanted to help us be better, and they gave me a chance. And here I am now.
Yeah, yeah. Josiah, I'll be right back. You can go ahead and continue. I'll be right back.
Yeah, yeah. So I actually have a question like for you. So
All right.
how has like the COVID pandemic, like, do you know how it's like affected California and like all the bands and schools and stuff?
Yeah, it's definitely been pretty rough because at least like most schools in SoCal, we are still, in quarantine. We're still, like social distancing, and we're not able to go to school. And so all of it's been, online learning and everything. And at least for like what our battery's been kind of doing is, we're doing a lot of like online Zoom rehearsals, our own sections, we're handling like, we're learning music, we're learning the packet. The exercises we're focused on cranking still, and even though it's definitely been tougher because of the entire situation and we want to make sure everybody's safe, we haven't been able to, like everybody together as a battery because, the district guidelines and everything. Like, so everybody's been basically staying at home and
Yeah,
drumming individually. So, yeah.
yeah, definitely. So has like COVID personally affected you at all?
Um, I think it has, but in a positive way because I think it's allowed me to be able to focus more on time management and like, getting all of my school stuff down, college apps, being able to crank like for myself and getting better as a like percussionist, like to become like a well-rounded percussionist and overall, not just a what like a good bass drummer.
Yeah,
And, like especially because like some of the best bass drummers can play upper battery parts and can play, you know, um, the super difficult stuff that everybody else in the upper battery can play. And that's my goal because I have goals in, the groups that I want to be in DCI and in indoor too. So yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. Um,
Yeah.
oh, hey, Dylan, how are you?
Yeah, I'm back.
Welcome back.
Yeah.
Yeah, all
Yeah,
right.
but yeah, I was listening on a little bit of that, and I think that's really great. Especially in the fact that you were able to take something that's, you know, extremely that has affected the world greatly and really affected our everyday lives. It's great to hear that, someone took that and was able to work upon themselves during that time and use it
Mm,
to better themselves.
yeah, for sure.
But so yeah, I remember first watching Chino Hills live in 2017. Forgot the name of this show, but
You're
uh
ABI.
yeah. And I was curious on, how you see that Chino Hill's drumline and even the band has a as a whole evolved over time while you've been there. Because I remember watching them in 2017 and still thinking, wow, this is amazing. I don't know how this is gonna get any better. And somehow it has.
Thank you. Um, I think honestly, our program has developed in so many amazing ways. Like, we've gotten really great staff, that gives really detailed comments, and the vibe, especially like during rehearsals, it's all about trying to make us better and helping us like put the effort in and the hard work in, because sometimes like when we're all kind of overwhelmed by the season and rehearsals and constant just reps over reps, we kind of forget the reason why we're drumming and the reason why we love to perform. And one of the main things that our instructors do, like constantly remind us on, is the fact that we're here because we love to drum. We're here because we love the musicality of it. We love the choreography. We love the performance aspect of it, and we also love the people. Like everybody in this program, we're a whole family, and I'm honestly super thankful to be marching with them. So yeah.
Wow. Um yeah, no, for sure. I definitely agree with that. One of the years at my high school, we weren't really necessarily together in the sense that like our like vibe wasn't matching, and it really threw the band off because we'd have problems in our drum line, and we weren't able to get things together. But then a big thing happened, and just something clicked in all of us, and we were like, all right, we really need to get our crap together. And then
Yeah.
we ended up winning like two more competitions after that. But yeah, it's really important, especially in any group, that all the members and even the staff have a chemistry in the sense that they feed off each other's energy to better themselves. Yeah,
Mhm. Yeah, I totally get that. It's honestly a great feeling to, and a great vibe to be in. And it honestly, I feel like it helps us grow as people, and it helps every single person like be better as their own individual person.
yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. Um, well, we're gonna take an ad break real quick. We'll be right back with Vanessa Wu. This episode of The Music Room is sponsored by Anchor. Anchor is a free platform for podcast creation. It contains tools that allow users to record and edit audio, arrange it into podcast episodes, publish podcasts to listening platforms, and even monetize your content. Wow. We love it. We use it all the time. And honestly, this podcast wouldn't be possible without the use of Anchor. So you can go to anchor.fm to sign up and get started today. Anchor, the easiest way to start a podcast. And we are back with Vanessa Wu. So I had we had a couple of questions submitted to us that people wanted to know, but I think just for a little bit, I'm gonna ask a couple of questions that I was curious about. So obviously you know what DCI is. I was curious on what is your favorite core and what is your favorite show?
Oh, that's a really tough one. All right. Favorite core? That's honestly really difficult to choose. Um, well, personally, I would say Blue Coats because that's my end game for the group that I want to march in. Because like Bluecoats, I love the way that at least the basses are tuned, and from what I've heard from a lot of my friends, the vibe at Bluecoats is really great, and the musicality and the music composition of it is honestly really tasteful and really unique, and that's why I want to march there. My favorite show would probably be Babylon, which is SUV 2018, because that was the first show, first DCI show that I ever watched live. Because that was the end of my freshman year, and I went with a couple friends, and honestly, that blew my mind, and that was insane. So yeah.
Yeah, very, very, very good choice. Personally, I would say I'm kind of tied between Blue Coats and Carolina Crown because we're actually in the we're in the Fort Mill area, which is where Carolina Crown's based out of. So, obviously they're going to be a home favorite, but I
Mhm.
definitely love Blue Coats because their show design over the past like 5 years has just grown exponentially, and I love it. Um,
Exactly.
yeah, my favorite show, I don't know. It kind of depends on how I feel because it's bounced around a lot. I loved this past season for Blue Coats 2019 and
Definitely.
for Crown, I'd probably it's a very unpopular choice, but I'd have to say 2018. I love 2019, but I think it was really the repertoire for me that really made me love Beast, even though a lot of people,
Yeah.
had mixed feelings about it.
I completely get that.
Yeah. Josiah, what's your favorite DCI core and show?
Yeah, so this is probably a really biased opinion, but definitely Carolina Crown, because like I saw their 2019 show like live, and it was crazy because their brass is like it's insane.
Mhm.
Um, Probably for my favorite show, I would have to go with Crown 2019 because I mean it's very biased, but like it's like they improved a lot over like from 2018 to 19 with like technicality and musicality and stuff. Especially their drum line, it got way more advanced this past year, and I really liked the writing.
For sure.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, for sure. Ever because a lot of people consider 2015 for at least the drum line to be a bit of a low year because the music was pretty easy and they had a little bit of problems. But like ever since 2016, like their drum line has just grown exponentially. And I think a lot of that has to do with the new staff they brought in and their unofficial partnership with George Mason University. They really stepped up their players and now they're just playing insane things I couldn't even fathom.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I definitely get that.
Um, I got another question I wanted to know.
All right.
Although Chino Hills is at the top of the indoor circuit, considering the track record. I was curious if you had to be on any other drum line any year besides your own group, what line would it be and why?
Oh, that's pretty tough. Oh, this is like a tough one. I have to think about it. Um, Honestly, oh, I'm kind of like tied. It would either be Arcadia 2019 because I have a lot of friends in Arcadia and their vibe's great and they're all like amazing people and the music and the choreography was insanely clean that year. So that'd be like a great show to perform in. And I've heard the staff's really great too. And this might all right, this other I'd probably do Ayala 2016 because that like that was a really good show and I was absolutely blown away by that. that show when I first saw it, because that was also one of the first shows that I've ever seen in indoor. Um, so yeah.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. I loved Ayala 2016. Although my first introduction to Ayala was 2017. I eventually found Igor's Riot, and I was like, this is absolute insanity. This is amazing. But
Yeah. Sure.
um, if I had to if I had to choose a drumline to march in for indoor, I would probably have to say hmm, actually, yeah, no, this is a tough one. I would say either Rhythm X 2019 because the although the theme or the concept was kind of obscure, it was
Mhm.
still a really well put together show, and the music was obviously awesome, and just something like that. Just stuff like that. Like even though not many people understood the theme, which it was based off of this
Mhm.
really expensive restaurant in Chicago. It really took a lot of elements from that and beautifully put it together.
Yeah.
So, a lot of people didn't realize, oh, their costumes are actually busboys, and each movement is based off of an experience you would get at the actual restaurant. And that was something I really enjoyed. Now, my second choice would have to be Broken City 2018.
Yeah. That was a really good show.
A lot of the technical pieces for sure, like having the upper battery and then lower battery splitting each other, and all of
Def-
the especially the snare feature. That snare feature was just absolutely insane with all the isolated attacks and stuff. And yeah, Josiah, what would your answer be?
Yeah. So I'm being honest. I don't really stray off from like some like really main groups in WGI, but if I were to choose one, probably Pulse 2017. I mean,
Mm,
it's a very popular show. You know. Honestly, I think that it'd be like a great experience for anyone who's like not done WGI. Sorry,
mhm.
not done WGI. I
All good.
can't speak right now. But if nobody's ever watched WGI, watch that show because that was the first show I was ever introduced to.
Mhm.
Um, but like I feel like the vibe there would have been like amazing. Plus the runs and stuff that the front ensemble did during that show was insane.
Yeah, okay. I'm gonna be honest. I thought you guys meant like just any high school group besides my high school. I didn't think about like independent.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, for sure. But if we're talking about independent, I would have loved to march Pulse like this past season. Pulse 2020.
Oh yeah,
That was
Mhm.
a group
Yeah.
full of absolutely amazing people and incredibly talented drummers. And
yeah,
probably like I found a lot of like really good friends from that too. So yeah.
yeah, for sure. Uh,
Definitely.
so me and Josiah, we marched at a independent open group called Civitas down here in Rock Hill, and
Mhm.
I remember one night we were all sleeping at our friend's house. Shout out to Tim.
Yeah.
But
Tim.
we were actually watching some things over the season. I think we watched Y'all's a lot. I forgot for which competition, but um, we watched Pulse 2020 in the lot, and we were blown away at the fact that during the bass feature, they had to play not one but two retardandos, and then immediately jump back to tempo. And I was like, how? Like, how do
That
you
was
do
crazy.
that?
Yeah, not to mention the constant like the hand to hands and the mega lasers and the insane splits between 4 and 5.
Yeah,
Like
for sure. Yeah,
Oh
because a
yeah.
lot of people don't show 4 and 5 love. I mean, 4 would probably get more love than 5, but five's really focused on playing the main beats. They don't usually get mega crazy splits like that, which is
mhm.
awesome to see.
Yeah.
Since you talked about Scholastic and independent lines, if I had to pick a Scholastic line, I would probably either say Chino Hill's 2017, because that show just had a huge impact on me because I
Oh
was
yeah.
one of the first major drum lines it was the first time I saw a show on YouTube and then was able to see it live. And something about that's always surreal.
It's definitely.
Or yeah, for sure. Or I do Ayala 2017
Mm,
because the concept was just insane and the way they just set up the music, just something about it's like, ooh.
Yeah.
yeah, I totally get that.
Yeah.
So like, I don't really watch a lot of like scholastic groups, because like I just don't. I need to do some research on that. But gosh, I'm not really sure what I would march in scholastic. I don't really have an opinion on it, so
Mm.
yeah.
Don't worry, I'll send you some Scholastic shows after this.
Awesome.
But,
Definitely.
mm, yeah, there's a couple of Dorman shows that are good. There's a lot of, I mean, you can pretty much watch any Chino Hill show. I mean,
Yeah.
come on. But yeah, like Arcadia, Ayala,
Mhm.
Dartmouth. I don't even
Myth
really know.
has been coming up too. They have some their show in 2019 was pretty good. I liked it a
Yeah,
lot.
no, it was really good.
Mhm.
Um, Also another thing I was gonna mention, since Josiah said Pulse 2017, um, I actually did a winds group for about 3 years until I finally got into the indoor percussion world, and we went to Dayton and saw semifinals,
Mhm.
and like even though the energy wasn't as intense as finals, just the scream at the end, like that, and every single time I watch it, it legit gives me chills down my spine. Like the
Hmm.
acting, I feel like that show really nailed the acting, even though, people would say, "Oh, it's easy, just act scary," but there was just a different energy to it. Like it
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
it
Um,
really felt like you were being pulled into the story, and that's something I always appreciate from groups that can do
fun
that.
fact: the scream at the end was real. Like it was a real scream.
Oh yeah, no, I know that.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
it actually
Yeah.
came from the person. Like
Mhm.
that's what was chilling. Like it was
Yeah.
so blood curdling, yet it wasn't a sample. It was produced live.
Yeah.
Also, another fun fact about that show, the little girl is actually 20 years old in that video.
Oh,
Yeah, they can
really?
play convincing. Yeah. So we had this question sent in, and I thought it was a really good one. If someone were to consider learning bass or even any battery or concert percussion for that matter, what are the main things you recommend them do, whether it be within practice or performance or in a rehearsal setting?
Hmm. Well, in a rehearsal setting, definitely always have an open mind. You have to make sure that, like, you always have to remember that the comments and critiques that your instructor gives you is never meant to be taken personally. It's always meant to help you be better because they know that you have that potential and they're trying to make you the best that you can be. So always come in with an open mind, always be willing to accept like critiques and comments from any instructor that does have any tips or comments because they just want the best for you. And uh, I guess when you're rehearsing by yourself and practicing and repping, always work on fundamentals, the basics. What helps a lot, especially with technique, is recording yourself, like recording a video of yourself playing something and then watching it back, and always constantly, trying to pick out the ticks that you did, certain things that you see in your hands that you realized um, that is kind of out of place and that you want to fix. Kind of focus on the feeling of like focus on specific parts of your hand, whether it's like on your fulcrum pressure, your back fingers, your wrist, how that all connects into one. Um, your forearm, your bicep, like how does your entire arm connect to the mallet, and how does that come into one full entire motion, and how does that feel on the drum? So yeah.
Yeah, that's really great advice. And something to add on to what you're saying about always coming with an open mind.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't say necessarily be very quick, like have a very quick mind, but be able to take the comments and critiques from the instructors or even, your fellow line members.
Mm-hmm.
A good skill to have is being able to implement something when it's taught, like being able to integrate critiques and comments into your playing, because
Being
it's
able to
it's
apply
very, yeah,
that.
yeah, exactly. It's very easy to, hear the critique and comments,
Mm-hmm.
but it's another thing to actually listen to them and being able to be like, okay, my left arm is moving out of the zone. I need to make sure that I'm not, forcing down on the stick, but making sure that I still keep it in the right zone and making sure I move my wrist the right way, whether it, have it be a wrist rotation or a wrist break, you know.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Um, but yeah,
Yeah.
no, for sure. So, something I actually learned about you that I wanted to bring up is that if I correct me if I'm wrong, but are you a fan of Rex Orange County?
Um, I am.
That
I
makes me that
I
makes me very, very happy.
yeah, I do listen to Rex a lot. I used to listen to him like kind of obsessively like back in January and February.
Mm.
And then recently I've delved back into more like R&B and R&B alternative and like rap type of genres and honestly, but I do listen to everything. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
nice. Yeah. Yeah. I like Rex is probably one of my favorite artists. I have two out of his three albums on vinyl. Um, yeah, his music is pretty great. And also, okay, so another question I had was what is your favorite album? I know it's very hard to pick favorite songs when you have so many types of music, so many like genres of music you listen to. But
Yeah.
what do you think would be your favorite
My favorite album?
album?
Well, now I have to look through my playlist. Give me 1 second.
Mhm.
I have so many songs on here. Um, I would have to say this is really tough. Um, well, my current one of my current favorite artists right now is DVSN,
Mhm.
and I think my favorite album would probably be their most recent album, which is called Amuse Inner Feelings, and it's really, really good.
Yeah. Yeah, no. I have a tie for my album favorites. I would either have to pick Because You'll Never Be Free by Rex Orange County or Apostrophe by Frank Zappa. And for people who don't know who Frank Zappa is probably one of the greatest contemporary composers that ever lived in our in America. Uh he was born, I believe, in the 40s and he ended up dying in the 90s. Actually, I think he was born in the 50s, but yes, he's created so many insane songs and for anyone who has never heard of the Black Page, please look it up. I feel like that's probably one of the greatest percussion pieces that have ever been written.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, for sure.
So I know within the activity of marching band and indoor and even drum corps, um, it's very easy to, get wrapped up within the emotional value of it because a lot of the time a lot of people get really attached to it.
Mhm.
So I was curious on what some of your favorite memories from doing marching band and indoor and if any lessons you've learned from indoor and marching band have you implemented into your life?
Oh wow, I think this is a really good I'm so sorry, I can't talk today. This is a really great question. Um, I would have to say one of my best memories have been like the bus rides or the rides to the competitions during a season or like for example this past season for 2020 I went to Pacific Crest auditions for experience and I met so many people there and the staff was amazing and I've made some of my closest friends there like the PC baseline that's got contracted for 2020 they're probably like one of like the closest group of friends that I do have, in the drumline community. And I guess the lessons that I've learned is to kind of always be willing to want to improve yourself as a person. And because like drumline is very physically, mentally, and emotionally challenging, and I think it helps like develop your entire like personality to become stronger as a person and as your own individual, and to not be afraid to be yourself, and to not have to think, oh, I want to, like I want to fit in. I want these people to like me because they're really cool, and then act in a different way. Because, like there's so many good people out there, especially in this drumline community, that they're gonna want to be friends with you. Like they're always willing to be friends. You just got to be yourself. So yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I
Yeah.
totally agree. One of my favorite memories, in specific, was from this past year, actually, at Civitas. So I came from a high school that is not really well known whatsoever. And we're honestly sometimes we're kind of the butt of the joke. But once I joined Civitas, I don't know, watching like different, because I remember something about Civitas down here is that we're kind of like a hometown favorite, because within the area there's not really many open class groups, and there's not there I don't think there's any world class groups in North Carolina within the percussion or winds area.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, I would remember watching Civitas and being like, wow, these are some great players. And I mean they are, but actually being able to be a part of that experience, it really taught me a lot. And like seeing high schoolers, actually like watching us in the lots and like not necessarily fanboying, but like, being like, wow, this is really cool. They're really good.
Hmm.
Like it
Yeah.
really, I don't know. It's just something about the cycle of kids seeing these really outstanding groups and, you know, working towards that level is something that I'll always cherish.
Hmm.
And it makes me happy seeing so many people get together to experience this one activity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I always like technically this is like in a show, in a performance, we're always supposed to like, stay in the show. But I personally always make a point, like whenever I'm facing back or I'm towards the back of the floor. And I know, like, there's performers like on the performer side of the bleachers watching us. I always make a point to at least make eye contact with somebody and to like give them like kind of like a mini like nod or smile, and then I immediately go back into like the show because I think it's pretty cool, being able to like make that connection with, the so yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Josiah, what's your favorite memory from being in marching
Yeah.
band?
So our band, we have a percussion ensemble. It's a it's an A class concert percussion ensemble, and I'll be in it this year since I'm a freshman. But last year, um, my eighth grade year, I had actually went to go and see Civitas at their premiere at a high school. And
Mhm.
so I went there. That was my first time ever seeing any indoor group like in person. And it was because my friends Caleb and Faith, shout out to them. They're really
Big shout
cool.
out.
Oh yeah. They were in it. So I went to go see them and I was like, holy crap, this is crazy. So I started talking to them and they said that there was an open rack spot. And so I went to one of the rehearsals, one of the rehearsal weekends, and I got the spot. So that was cool. And probably like my favorite memory from Civitas is every Sunday I would bring Pop Tarts and I would hand out Pop Tarts to everyone in the group.
I don't
And it was
understand.
amazing.
This man would bring two whole boxes of Pop Tarts
Yeah.
And
I found
literally
funny things
anybody
about
that
her.
wants them, he's just like, oh, here you go.
Yep,
That was yeah, no, that was
literally.
for sure memorable. Um,
Yeah.
sure.
That
Um,
was
uh,
definitely Chino Hill monsters and energy drinks.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I remember. Shout out to Zach. Also, we'll have him on the podcast soon.
Yeah.
He actually played with Seattle Cascades this past season. He was in Colt Cadets, but
Mhm.
every single time, I don't know what kind of like major gas station chain you guys have out there, but we have this thing called QT, which is like a it's kind of like a supermarket mixed with a gas station. And
Okay.
so we would always buy like Bang energy drinks like
Yeah.
before we'd go to our housing site or in the morning.
Mhm.
That was a really great memory.
Yeah,
But
definitely.
yeah. So with WGI kind of still in the realm of who knows if this is still happening or not, and with DCI auditions sort of also starting to come around the corner.
Mhm.
What would be your advice to anybody that would want to audition for a what they would consider a major group or a better group than what they're already in?
I guess, well, that's also been a thing that I've been struggling with too, because I am auditioning for Pacific Crest in for the 2021 season. So, and auditions are coming up soon. So, one thing that I have struggled with, especially like, over quarantine and like cranking, is always like I have, I guess, a habit of like comparing myself to others and always trying to think, oh, like what can I do to be better and to be able to keep up and be at the same level as these incredible drummers, you know? And I think the main, like the important thing that I've come to realize with the help of, like a lot of my friends and my instructors is that to always, like, you don't need to compare yourself to other people because everybody is on a different level and everybody is always trying to be better for themselves to get better. Um, and so basically to not let others and how well they're playing affect how you're playing and affect your mindset, because I definitely know that that can be tough sometimes, especially when in auditions it's super competitive. So it's always just do you, focus on yourself, keep an open mind on the comments that the instructors give you and the comments that the text give you, and to always be able to like apply it into context and just to be like not necessarily nervous, but to use that pressure as like a motivation to be like, okay, I'm gonna kill it. And yeah.
Yeah, for sure. That's really great advice. And something I'd also add to that is don't be afraid to try out for groups. Like even though if you don't make it, like there's always next year. I mean, not always, but usually there'll always be a next year. And
Yeah.
really take the experience of the audition, even if you don't make it in as, all right, well, I know how the audition process is going to be like next year, so let me go ahead and take this year to work out what I need to and try to get better.
Yeah.
A thing that I think holds back a lot of people who could be potential, you know extremely talented people within these groups is they're afraid to try out. And
Mhm.
although it is pretty scary to try out for a group you've never been to before or that you kind of looked up to before, you just have to go in thinking, these are just people. And, you know, although they are big names, just focus on yourself and don't be afraid to try it out,
Yeah.
because it's really not it's even though it is an audition, it's not like a very harsh environment. Like it's very positive, and they're
Yeah.
there to get you better and to get you up to speed to be able to make the group.
Yeah. And if anything, it's like you're like, even if you're there for an audition and even if you don't make it, the experience is definitely worth it because I guess the information that you can take away from that audition experience is all the critiques that you've gotten, all the comments that you've gotten, um, you know, the friends that you make at these auditions, like the connections that you've made with the instructors and with the techs and that constant commitment, to what you love to do, which is drumming or, like performing and stuff like that. Like it's definitely worth it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, totally. Um, Josiah, do you have anything else
Uh,
we want to ask or?
I mean, so you probably, you already sort of answered this, but do you like plan to continue like the marching activity after high school?
Yeah, I definitely do. Like, I'm definitely gonna be doing, or I plan to at least. I want to do drum corps and indoor up until I age out. So yeah.
Nice.
Sweet. It's nice to hear that, and hopefully we'll be able to see you someday in those amazing groups, even though you're already in one. But yeah. Thank you very much for listening to the podcast. You can find us at the Music Room 5, all underscores between the words on Instagram. You can find Vanessa at Vanessa Wu on Instagram. And thank you guys very much for watching the podcast. This is sponsored by Anchor. Um, thank you very much for listening to the podcast, and hope you have a good day. Bye.
Peace.